Hello, everybody. Nice to have you in my session. Uh, while everybody is logging in, would you be so kind and let me know to where you're from, right? Where you're joining from, just to get to know you a little bit. Right, so Peru we have here. So hello, Peru. That's nice to have you. Moldova, right? Argentina. Great. Colombia, Mexico, right, Vietnam. So this is from South Peru again and Mexico. Great. Costa Rica. So I can see this is not only America, but also Slovakia, so also Europe and Asia. So that's very, very nice to have you with me. My name is Kamil Petrick, and we are going to have a webinar devoted to developing writing skills. This webinar today is a part of a broader project. This is Teacher Training Academy. The webinar today is the second to last webinar. There's one more in the project, so the project is coming to an end. So today we're discussing developing writing skills, and there will be one more session on the 30th of November devoted to computer-based test best practice. This project is accompanied by a digital notebook that I suppose most of you have downloaded. The digital notebook that contains some space for your notes and also some homework for every session. So, well, there is also some homework after the session today. After the session, you will also receive an email with a certificate of attendance. Plus, in this email, you'll be asked to share some feedback with us on this session. Good. So after all this introduction, this is the time to start, and let's talk about developing writing skills for the computer-based test Pearson English International Certificate. When discussing developing writing skills, we're going to focus on the tasks in the Pearson English International Certificate that assess the writing skills. And there are 4 tasks like that, and these are the tasks that we're going to have a look at. So the first task from part 1 in the exam, this is the dictation, which is listen and then write task. Then 3 tasks from part 2 that we're going to discuss, that will be read and then write, and short writing task for low levels, which is describing an image, and short writing task for higher levels, B1 to C2, which is write essay. So these are the tasks that we're going to focus and that we're going to discuss, that we're going to talk about the strategies for the tasks, how to get students ready, how to develop writing skills for these tasks. But before we focus on the task, let me have a look at one question. What would you say writing tasks in computer-based test? What are the characteristics of writing tasks in the computer-based test? In what way is computer-based tests somehow different, and writing in computer-based tests is different? What would you say? Can you share your ideas in the chat box? The chat box is all the time open in my screen. By the way, if you want to use it, just feel free. I'm trying to monitor that. So writing language, VAR, the kind of language, internet connection, that's a good point. Thank you, Ruby. Timed reaction for a topic provided, that's from Alejandra. Internet connection, that's a very important thing. Yeah, you have to have the internet connection for that. When it comes to writing in the C computer-based test, there are just a few things that we have to consider when preparing our students. First of all, writing in computer-based tests is strictly timed. You have the window open, let's say 10 minutes, and the window closes out automatically. So, well, there is no margin here. Just you have, the students have, the test takers have 10, for example, 10 minutes, exactly 10 minutes to write it. the keyboard is used, right? So as a matter of fact, writing in a computer-based test is typing mostly. I mean, only typing. This is the same for taking notes. So this is a little bit different kind of writing. So this is something we have to consider whether our students are ready for this, right? Whether maybe we should spend some time on practicing typing simply because maybe they're not used to that. The test takers are provided with automatic word count, so they don't have to worry about it. They will automatically see how many words they have typed in the exam, so that's not a problem. Additionally, when it comes to Pearson English International Certificate computer-based tests, as you will see in a moment, writing tasks, most of them combine skills. As a matter of fact, skills are tested in combination. Listening and writing, reading and writing, so writing tests integrated skills. And last but not least, although this is typing, although this is using keyboard, students have no spell checkers, so that might be also an issue for your students, since they might be used to the fact that when they use keyboard, whether in the mobiles or in the computer, they automatically get the spell checker. No, this is nothing like that here. So they type or they write without any spell checker, something that we also should consider when getting ready for the test. Right, remark from Diana: we can create a system to avoid deleting incorrect words so students can figure out what is wrong or what is missed. Yes, this is what we're going to also discuss today. Thanks, Diana, for your remark. So let's have a look at, sorry for that. Let's have a look at dictation, the first task, the task that combines listening and writing, so integrated skill. The task in which students, well, listen to a sentence or a very short text and write what they have heard. So when you listen to that...
She is going to plan our trip.
That was A2 and C1 example.
Our manager was uncharacteristically quiet during the meeting.
So this is what it looks like short sentences. They have to listen, they have to take down those sentences. When it comes to scoring, this is the task that tests first of all, understanding, so listening at sentence level and word level, so the ability to understand, listening, but also the ability to write accurately, both sentence and word level. So these are the elements that are scored in dictation. So what about the strategies for dictation? What strategies should we work on with our students? What are the most important strategies for this task? So first of all, the important strategy is to focus when writing, especially. I'm focusing here, or I'm concentrating here on writing strategies, on this writing part in the dictation. So they should focus on key content words, right? This is the most important because they carry the meaning, and anything else apart from key content words can quite easily be completed in the moment after the dictation when they have the time to check it, to possibly complete it. Another strategy is to use abbreviations or symbols to make writing shorter, quicker, more efficient, I would say. Another strategy that should be developed by the students is to learn how to ignore spelling, as a matter of fact, right? While listening to the dictation, it's important to not to worry about the spelling. Just take down the word as you hear it with any kind of spelling based on your native language, for example. Doesn't matter, right? It's important that you take down the word and you know what the word is, and then you will have the time to correct spelling. Well, some strategy that is very useful for dictation. They can check, thank you, Maria Dominic, they can check the words later, but they should be quick. That's the idea, because they can check spelling afterwards, but that also should be the strategy, should happen automatically, that they immediately after they take down the words, after the dictation finishes, after the sentence finishes, they check the spelling. So how to work on those strategies? Just a few ideas for activities to develop those strategies. So as a teacher, well, that would be important here to develop a uniform system of abbreviations and symbols. So work with your students, show them some ideas for some abbreviations, some symbols, for example, and without, you are somebody, show them. You can find a lot of those abbreviations or symbols online. So show them the examples of those commonly used words, how these could be shortened, and then practice that. This is important that they practice. Not only should they know them, but they should practice them so that to be able to use them during the test. So dictate some short sentences to transcribe. I know they don't have to make sense, like you are somebody without dreams and ideas, right? And then that should be transcribed using symbols, using abbreviations in this way that you can see in the slide. And you can give sentences like that to pairs of students. You can practice that. You can practice that with some recorded short sentences if you come up with if you come up with such sentences in your course books. I can see a remark from Carla that's for teens, for younger generations, that wouldn't be a problem at all, right? Because they have a lot of abbreviations. Although this is important that, because, well, that depends on what way they communicate. Sometimes they communicate in English and they use English abbreviations. But on social media, probably most of them use native languages. So, but you can build or draw on that, right? You can build upon that, those abbreviations that they use on social media. Another activity that will help students focus on content words, keywords, is called dictogloss. You should choose a short, dense text from some audio script, any courseware that you use, actually. You have a lot of recordings and you can find a dense text. So that should be a dense text, so not a dialogue. So, for example, the one that you can see here is taken from Speak Out 3rd edition B2. So like a monologue or a story, you take this text, and there, and the question from Martha: will punctuation be penalized? Not as long as these are punctuation marks, right? If this is punctuation meaning like capital letters, then yes, that would be penalized here. So you take a dense text and you play or read out the text once only. So this is important, that this is only once, not 2 times. No, this is just once, because the idea is that they listen to this text as it is being played. They jot down keywords and phrases. So you come up with texts like that that contain a lot of gaps, right? Just some keywords have been jotted down. And after that, after they have, well, prepared or jotted down some words from the text that has been played once, they get together in pairs and they somehow pool the words and reconstruct the text. And you can run a competition in which, well, the winning pair will be the pair, or winning team will be the team with the highest number of correct words, right? Or the version of the text that is closest to the original. So that's the idea of this activity, in which they focus on jotting down, writing down the keywords, the content words. Also, don't forget, don't ignore tasks. If you using some courseware, there are a lot of tasks that combine sounds and spelling. Like, for example, Roadmap has great pronunciation worksheets accompanying the course. And there are a lot of very nice activities showing the relation between sounds and spelling. So you can find a lot of activities like that in Pearson courseware. This is also great preparation for dictation, especially for this moment where they have to check spelling, or the moment they have to take down the word and they hear the word, and they when they practice the relation between sound and spelling, it's much easier for them. Speaking of correcting spelling, this is another idea for an activity in which, well, you should expose students to incorrect sentences, right, from time to time. Obviously, this is not what we should do continuously, but just to give them practice in correcting spelling, in correcting mistakes, which will take place, well, not only in dictation, in any writing task that we're going to discuss today. So while you're doing some, for example, reading task, the one that you can see here is taken from Gold Experience, a classic reading task with some reading comprehension activities. Why not spice it up a little bit and take this text, use, well, you can use this website that you can see here, structurize.com, where you can, if you scan the text, you can, on this website, you can transform the scanned text into a file, right, into a digital text that you can easily edit. And you can, for example, introduce some spelling mistakes into this edited text. And this way, you give them the text that they read. They do the comprehension activity, reading comprehension activity. At the same time, you tell them that they should identify some spelling mistakes while reading. So that also gives them practice in like looking for problems in the text in the dictation. Or you can simply Google, or you can use AI tools to produce incorrect sentences for you, and you will come up with many sentences like those orange ones, and then you can use those sentences to discuss and explain and analyze the contextual grammar and word formation clues to help them analyze the mistakes in their own dictation. So that's it about the first task, which is a dictation. Let's move on to another task, which is another task that combines skills, reading and writing. As you can see, read and then write, that's the name of this task. And well, that's a task in which they read a short story. They have 30 seconds for that, and after 30 seconds the text disappears and they have to reconstruct the text. They have 90 seconds or 120 seconds, depends on the level. High levels will have 120 seconds to reconstruct the text. That's the idea behind the task. And let's have a quick look at the traits that are scored in this task. So that's the formal requirement, whether this is a summary of the text or not. Grammar, the range and accuracy, vocabulary, the same, the range and accuracy, but also what is important for vocabulary in this specific task, that's a question from me. What do you think? What would be the focus here when it comes to vocabulary as a trait that is scored? What will be the focus for this specific task? What, when it comes to vocabulary, what would be the focus of this trait? I'm waiting for some remarks. Parts of speech from Yasir, thank you very much. Okay. For this task, right, content words, collocations, target language. For this task, the focus will be especially on the words that are relevant for the passage, right? That is here, and the appropriate synonyms, because they reconstruct. So naturally, they should use a lot of paraphrased sentences or a lot of synonyms based on what they have read. So this will be the focus when it comes to vocabulary. There will be also content that is assessed. What do you think the focus of content as a trait that is scored will be? So content, what is the focus of it? I'm waiting for Thank you for keeping the original meaning of the text from Fiorella. Thank you very much. Main ideas, great, right, exactly. Thank you, Claire, for your principal idea from Maria. This is exactly that, right? So the content, this will be focusing on the key points of the passage, whether they are addressed or not, right? So the gist, the narrative structure of the text, whether it is, well, reconstructed or not. And, well, obviously, whether there are any misrepresentations. So whether there's anything added, nothing should be added here from the students. So this is also another focus of content for the read and write activity. So let's have a look at some strategies for read and write. Thanks for sharing your ideas for the content. So when reading the text here, the students, the test takers, should focus on the gist of the story and the narrative structure, right? So what kind of story it is and what is the structure, what is happening point by point in the story. So that's mostly a reading strategy. As far as writing is concerned, this is very important that they cannot use any on-screen notepad, so they can't take any notes. No notes being taken here. So anything that is written from memory, as if to say. So that's why this is important, that they understand the gist and the narrative structure, because then they will be able to recreate the story in question. So what is important, as far as writing is concerned, they should retell the story in their own words, and they should maintain the key points, right? We discussed that when we discussed content. And obviously checking grammar, spelling, all those should happen automatically before they submit the response. So let's have a look at some activities that help us develop those, or help students develop those strategies. This is for this activity, it would be very useful to work with short stories, and a good source of short stories, because the story that they read in this task is quite short, right? They have 30 seconds to read it only. So a good source of short stories is 50 websites with 50-word stories. There are a lot of websites. If you Google 50-word stories, you will get a lot of websites where people upload the 50-word stories, and you can find a lot of them. Some of them are really interesting, so that's quite nice even to just read them, right, when you're getting ready for, when you're preparing some activities for your students. So you take a short story. Sometimes it will be necessary to simplify it if this is taken from the website, and you can well, first of all, you can prepare a very straightforward, I would say, activity where you ask them to read it for 30 seconds. So you take a short story, you ask your students to read it for 30 seconds, and then discuss this narrative structure, this overall message, this gist and the narrative structure, right? How you can identify it, show them, help them with that. So that's the first thing that you can do with a short story. You can also take find a lot of short stories in your coursework. Just you have examples from Speak Out B1. That's important, that these stories should not be too long, right? So obviously, if it's a little bit longer, so give them more than just 30 seconds to read that. So when you have discussed the key message, the narrative structure of the short story, you can, well, play a little bit with the language of the short story. So, for example, you can play a paraphrase race. What's a paraphrase race? That's an activity. Oh, thank you, Yasir, for sharing this link to 50wordstories.com in the chat box. So what's a paraphrase race? You take a short story and you ask students to paraphrase, for example, each sentence of the story, or selected sentences in the story. But there are two important rules. That's good to introduce these two important rules: that each paraphrase should be accurate So exactly the same tenses and the same meaning. So for example, if you have this first sentence, in this story, stars glimmered in the blackness, and it's transformed or paraphrased into stars shine in the blackness, it's wrong because the tense has been changed. And another rule, there should be more than one change, not only one change, but more than one change should be introduced. So again, stars glowed in the blackness. It's just one change, so this is not accepted. But the sentence stars glowed in the darkness, these are accepted. So this is a paraphrase race, and this is a race, so you can run it as a competition. The first team or pair or individual to complete the paraphrases will be the winner and will get a prize from you, for example, if you have any prize for your students. Then you can also take some content words, some nouns, verbs, adjectives from the story, and you can play a word match, a word war. What is it all about, a word match or word war? What does it look like? You take a pair of students and you simply give them the word, and for example, that will be antonym match. So the task is that each the students should kind of exchange antonyms. So one student says happy, the other student says glad. So then the first student says sad, glad, right? Then upset, pleased, disappointed, and you continue like that with antonyms in pairs of students until one of the students cannot continue. So they lose the war or the match, the word match, based on content words from the story, for example. So this way you are practicing antonyms, synonyms, because this is what you do in read and then write. You use synonyms or antonyms, depending. If you paraphrase, you can use obviously antonyms. So this is what you do, and this way you practice, get them ready for this activity in the test. And that's it about the read and then write. Another activity another writing activity in Pearson English International Certificate is short writing task, describe image. Describe image is a task for lower levels, A1 and A2. This is a task, well, they have to write a short description of an image. They have 9 minutes for that, and this is really short because it's at least 25 words. So what about the traits that are scored here? How is this task assessed? Well, again, we have grammar and vocabulary, range and accuracy of those. That is scored. Spelling is obviously, the correctness of spelling is scored. The development, structure, and coherence of the text is scored. And general linguistic range and content. And here I will stop for a moment. Content. What do you think? What will be the content that is tested, right? What aspects of content will be assessed here? So if you could share in your chat box what you think, what aspects, what content focuses on here. So I'm looking at my chat box, waiting for any suggestions. Sometimes the chat box has some delay, so all right. What is in the picture exactly? Right. So simply speaking, great. Thank you, Nazia. This exactly. So the content will focus. This trait will focus on well, analyzing if all aspects of the image have been addressed, right? So how many details from the image have been included in the text. There's also another trait that is called formal requirement. What would be the formal requirement here for this text, for describing an image? What would you say? So let me wait for your answers in the chat box. Looking at my chat box, as I said, there might be some delay. So detailed description, I think, academic layout. Okay. Well, to some extent you are right. So when it comes to formal requirements, well, it must be a description, so it cannot be a dialogue, it cannot be a story, it must be a description, simply speaking, and it must contain at least 25 words. So that's what is hidden under this expression formal requirements. This is what is assessed, what is scored in this trait. All right, so what about the strategies here for describe image? Some important strategies to work on as a test taker. First of all, the strategy for describing an image is the strategy to organize the text, how to organize the text. These are relatively low levels, A1, A2, they might feel a little bit insecure. So our task as teachers is to equip them with some easily available, I would say, or easily accessible strategy, how to organize my writing. So, for example, from most prominent details to the least prominent details, or start with what you can see and then finish with what is, or then move on to describe what is happening. So the structure, how to build it. So help them, equip your students with this strategy of being ready to employ some structure on the writing. Also, questions, employ your students with, or equip your students with set of questions that can be asked about each picture, and these questions will help them identify some details in some important details in the picture. So they should come to the exam with some ready-made questions to ask about the picture to help them write the description. Obviously, it's important that they use full sentences and a range of vocabulary. This is what is tested, obviously. The range and accuracy of vocabulary and checking grammar, spelling, and word count. Is this word count here is also important because there is this minimum word count and they have to stick to that. So what about the activities to help you practice these strategies with your students? We've been equipped with a great tool recently, which is AI. If you're not using any AI tools in your classes or in your classroom, well, I strongly recommend going online and looking for some nice AI tools, because these are some great tools to use in class. And here, for example, we have a lot of AI tools that are text. ChatGPT is one of them, but here actually DALL-E would be probably a better one, because I want to discuss the AI tools that are image generation tools, or text to image AI tools, where you can put a description into this online AI tool, and the website of the tool will generate an image for you. There are a lot of them. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. If you just go online and you can simply Google AI image generation tools, you will come up with a lot of websites. So, for example, you produce a 2-sentence description, right? And this is Canva.com that generated this image, but I'm not saying this is the best one. This is just one that I like using. To me, it's easy to use, but each of you will find one probably, or you probably have some favorite AI tools to use. So you simply you can create images by simply describing them and putting description into the tool. You can modify them. So, for example, you add a detail: the children are fighting, for example, at the end. So this image will look a little bit different. So you can create your own images that you can take into your classroom, and then you show students the image, and you provide them with this list of questions that I mentioned, right? So you give them a list of questions to be answered with one sentence only. So you can set it for homework, or I know, do it in a classroom. So, for example, where is the woman? What is she doing? What does she look like? What can you see behind her? What can you see in front of her? And some other. It would be good to set that for homework, because if you set this for homework, well, you can ask them to type the answers, for example, and email those to you. So with this activity, it's important that they produce individual sentences. So each question is one sentence answer, Once you have that, another class, let's say, you can discuss how to connect the sentences. So you will discuss some discourse markers or linking devices, or well, the structure, right, from as I mentioned, from the most prominent to the least prominent detail. So once they have the sentences that they have produced or that they have typed, ideally, then you can together discuss how to put these sentences together, and this way you lead them through to create great descriptions. Recently, I have discovered another way of working with image description, which my students, low-level, especially students, like. Actually, I ask them, sometimes ask them to create the description of the, let's say, of a picture for an examination, right? That they would like to see in their examination. So what I do, I ask them to produce these descriptions without pictures. And then we put those descriptions into AI tools, and we see the result, we analyze the result, we discuss, right? So there's also some space, some room for discussion on the details, right? How exact the image is, right? Maybe there are some differences between the description and the image generated by the tool. So there's a lot of fun with that. And I also, yeah, good idea as an icebreaker from Yasser. Yes, that's a great idea. So people can bring their descriptions and show to what extent, for example, the images generated by AI are well, exact, I would say. Another idea to work on picture description and with images is playing some picture guessing game. For this, you need a set of similar pictures that you can generate in an AI tool, but also some courseware, especially Roadmap, I would say, is great at that. They provide you with a lot of images that are quite similar that you can use for this activity. So what you need is a set of similar pictures, let's say 4 similar pictures. And what you ask the students, you can do it for homework or you can do in class, to choose one picture and write one description, at least 25 words, remember. If you set it for homework, again, you can ask them to type it, right? Because typing, we have to bear that in mind, that in the exam, they have to type. So if you feel that your students are not used to, well, they're used to typing, but they're used to typing some social media messages, but they might not be used to typing longer text. So if you give that for homework, if you set that for homework, you can ask them to choose one picture and describe it. And then they bring it back, next class, let's say, and they exchange or they read out the text, and the other students, they have to simply guess which picture is being described. That's why you need a set of similar pictures with just a few maybe details that are different, because that's a guessing game. This is supposed to be a guessing game, and again, they have some extra motivation to produce text, to write, to compete. So that would be a good idea to, well, produce a few texts here. And last but not least, right, in the test, there's a remark from, oh, right, I lost it. In the test itself, they are not supposed to guess what is happening. No, definitely no. In the test itself, they get an image and they have to describe the image. That was just my idea for some activity in which they have to write a description of a picture that will be generated by AI. But this is just an idea of an activity that will prepare them for to write good image descriptions later on. So coming back to write essay, the last task that we're going to discuss today. So short writing task, essay for higher levels. So that is from level B1 above. And what they do, well, that's a simple thing. They simply have to write a short essay in response to a prompt. They have 10 minutes for that, and they have to write at least either 75 words if this is B1 or B2, or 100 words if this is C1 or C2. So what about the traits that are scored here? There are quite a lot of traits, right? This is an essay, right? A serious writing task. So let's have a look at those. Obviously, grammar and vocabulary, we talked about it. Formal requirements. So, yeah, this is, again, what would be the formal requirement for this task? What will be the formal requirements assessed? If you could share your ideas for write essay task and ideas. Essay structure, right. There should be no template, critical thinking, right pattern again. Word order, yes, but this will be that kind of assessed in a different trait. Here, well, essay structure, some of you said, so it should be an essay. Again, not a story, not a description, not a dialogue. This should be essay, so that's one formal requirement. And as I mentioned, at least 75 or 100 words, depending on the level. These are the formal requirements for the essay. Spelling. Well, it seems obvious what spelling is, but what do you think? This trait that is called spelling, what does it assess? If you could share that in the right, I'm just spelled words correctly. Thank you, Jana. Yes, you are right. Obviously, the correct spelling, but what is important, correct and consistent use of a single spelling convention. So that means that no spelling convention is obligatory for Pearson English International Certificate, as long as this is consistently used, right? American, British, Australian. So what is important? To be consistent, but any spelling convention is accepted here. Content, also obviously that is based on the prompt. Development, structure and coherence. What would you say? What is the focus of this trait again? And if you could share that in the chat box. Right. Okay, so this is the trait that assesses whether ideas are connected, supported with details. So how the text flows and how details are supported, and whether somebody mentioned here the structure. So the structure is tested or assessed here. So is there a clear introduction, body, and conclusion in the essay? And the last but not least, the last trait is called general linguistic range. And here, right, so this and ideas for what is assessed here. What is the focus of this trait? Linking words, that's linking words will be for development, structure and coherence, but general linguistic range, well, checks or assesses whether the language accurately communicates ideas and whether the essay contains clear descriptions, and whether there is emphasis, no ambiguity, whether there are some subtleties in meaning. So this is what is called general linguistic range. So these are the traits that are scored. These are the elements that are scored. So based on that, what should the strategies be for write essay? We start with the prompt. This is very important to read it carefully and really focus on the prompt, because this is where the essay starts. This is where you start planning. This is your starting point, and this is very important that you don't miss anything, that they don't make mistakes. So that's a strategy that you should work on, focusing on some essay prompts. When they read, when they analyze the essay prompts, it's important to identify the focus of the question and the point of view, right? So what I'm going to write about, and from what point of view should I agree, disagree, discuss, right? What's the point of view that I'm going to write from here? Planning, another strategy. This is very important. They have quite a lot of time. This text is not long, so 10 minutes should be part of this time should be spent planning, because, well, the arguments should follow a clear and logical format, and obviously checking carefully the focus, the correct topic focus, grammar, spelling, all those things that we have mentioned, which will be common for all writing tasks. So what about the activities that will help us to work on those strategies? Well, remember that the topic is the starting point, so help your students with this starting point. And well, anytime you work in your coursework with some essay topics, like Gold Experience has a lot of writing with some essay topics, because this has been designed to prepare for various kinds of certificates and exams. So anytime you come across some essay topic in your coursework, have a look at that and analyze with the students. Have your students underline keywords, for example, for the topic focus, and circle the keywords to identify the point of view from which the topic should be written. And this way, you help them with the starting point. You help them to start in a good, correct way the journey of writing the essay. There are some questions in the chat box about the recording. Yes, the session is being recorded, and it will be easily available from the website, this project's website, so you don't have to worry about the recording. Once they have started, they have the keywords, it's important to be able to reformulate, because they are discussing in the essay, while writing the essay, they're discussing this topic that a lot of ideas have to be reformulated. So a reformulation challenge, right? You give your students a sentence, right? And you give them some criteria according to which they should reformulate the sentence. So, for example, reformulate the sentence through the word class. So you have to change the word class. So yeah, you can get this, I watched the program with pleasure. So enjoy, the verb changes into pleasure, the noun, for example. Or reformulate, we're using synonyms, like instead of I enjoyed, I loved watching. Or reformulate the sentence using or changing the sentence structure. So, for example, you don't start with I, but you started, the subject is now the program, and you reformulate the sentence. So that could be the challenge that you can practice, and this will help them show broader range of grammar and also vocabulary in their essay that they're writing. You can also play some cohesion challenge, right? You give them the topic, you ask them to write a short paragraph, timed, right? Because timed writing is one important aspect of computer-based tests. And when they write, they get 1 point for every cohesive device, and you select the list of cohesive devices that are kind of graded, or the points are given for, like, I know, likewise, nonetheless, furthermore, right? And then when they give you the essays, you count the points, and well, you can compete, you can have a competition. The highest scorer might get some prize from you, for example, if you have some prize. I always have something nice for my students, some prize. For example, the idea would be that they can select a song that you're going to listen to, and you next class, for example, the winner will select a song, and you prepare some sing along, or maybe not necessarily sing along, but you can prepare some activity with the lyrics for the song, right? So that's the prize they can show off. They can listen together with the class the songs that they like, for example. That might be a good idea for a prize. That is not really material, but could be very nice for the winner. I also like working with some funny phrases that you can find online. If you Google funny phrases, these ones here have been taken from scarymummy.com. And these phrases could be, well, the topics for essays themselves, but also, what I do with those funny phrases is this is some additional motivation to engage in writing activity. I give each student individually one funny phrase. This is mysterious phrase. And when we are writing an essay, I ask them to write this essay. A topic is given in the course book, for example, and they have to hide the sentence in this essay, and then you set the time limit, and they exchange the texts, exchange the essays after this activity. And the idea is that some other students are supposed to identify those hidden sentences in it. Show your students also some online AI tools for rating so if you Google rate my writing, they can easily upload their essays, their texts, and they can get very nice reports concerning the style, the vocabulary, grammar of the text. These are taken here from paperrater.com, but there are again hundreds of websites like that where they can on their own, right, improve their writing, working with AI tools, and that also gives them the idea how the test is assessed, because those texts are assessed in Pearson English International Certificate. These are assessed by artificial intelligence, and also. Don't forget that they have to type in the examination. So that means that if you feel that your students don't have enough practice typing, or if you want to help them improve the speed of typing, well, again, Google typing practice, you will get a lot of websites with some typing activities, with some games, typing games. So, for example, you can start a typing league, for example. So you can select a game, and they will share the results in this game, and you can hold the standings, for example, for your class. And this way, they might also compete in the typing speed. Right, just to finish, just a few takeaways from me. Some important things to remember. Well, this is what I mentioned, that writing computer-based test is tested in combination with listening and writing. So as a matter of fact, students getting ready for the computer-based test, they are getting ready for written interaction, so comprehension and production. It's not only production, it's not only writing, as a matter of fact. So you have to bear in mind that this writing is accompanied by some other skills here very often. So this is comprehension and production. As I said, students will need some extra skills. So this is not only writing that we should focus here, but also typing, as I mentioned, strictly timed writing, not only timed, but strictly timed writing. This is also some kind of skill, right? Being able to monitor the time while writing. And those students who work online, right, they can benefit from a lot of I mean, actually they naturally develop a lot of skills. So they gain a lot of experience, and they should find it obviously quite easy to take computer-based test. And remember that this project is accompanied by some additional material. There are lesson plans, ideas that you can easily download for any activity in the Pearson English computer-based test. So you can use the QR code or the address, website address below. And I mentioned at the beginning this digital notebook that contains the homework from today's class. Nobody's going to, check your homework, but do it on your own. And in the homework from today's webinar, you are kindly asked to try and work a little bit with those short stories, like 50-word stories, how you can design and some activities for your class. And what about your takeaways before you go? Could you share any things that you take away home from this webinar? So let me have a look at the chat box. All right. Okay, so strategies to develop 50-word stories. Miranda is taking with you. That's this 50-word stories is a great. These are great websites. I really enjoy reading those. Before I even prepare some activities for my students, I really enjoy reading those. You will see this. These are great stories. There's a question from Mirza, if you can have recording of this webinar. As I said, obviously this webinar will be available from the website. The recording will be available from the website. Okay, good. Right, so that brings me to an end, right? Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, especially America. There's a lot of day ahead of you here in Europe and in Asia. This is now late afternoon or evening, so enjoy the rest of the day that is left, and thank you very much. And remember, the 30th of November, my colleague Bartek is going to discuss best practices for computer-based tests, so very, very interesting session. Remember to join it. Thank you.